Today we are going to interview Dr. Frederick Highland, professor here in Prince Sultan University and the author of 3 novels, Mystery Box, Ghost Eater, and the most recent is The Night Falls on Damascus. I would like to tackle the personal questions first before we proceed with the novel. First question, when did you realize that you have a gift of writing?
I think it was when I was 11 years old, and I'd read a novel about Napoleon, and I decided, you know, I can write a novel about Napoleon. So that's what I did, and from there on in, I kept on writing.
Mm-hmm. Can you name at least 3 of your favorite novelists or writer?
Well, there are so many writers that I admire, but I would say that among the top 3, one would be Eric Ambler, the British novelist, who was really the father of the suspense novel, the modern spy novel. He wrote such books as the Mask of Demetrius, or often called the Coffin of Demetrius. I'm also fond of John Buchan, a British novelist of the turn of the 20th century. He wrote The 39 Steps and other mystery suspense novels. And among the modern writers, I'm very fond of Martin Cruz Smith, who has a series of mystery novels starring a Russian detective. Gorky Park is his most famous book.
Are they the ones who also influence your writing?
To some extent, I'd have to say Eric Ambler, because he really is the father of the modern spy novel, and that's the genre I'm writing in.
What is the most treasured book in your personal library, aside from the novels that you have written?
Well, if I was marooned on a desert island with only one book to choose, I would choose E.B. Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable, which is a compendium of all sorts of wonderful information and stories, and that would give me plenty of material to write.
Whenever you experience writer's block, I assume almost all writers experience this kind of phenomenon. How do you deal with it?
Well, I have a little technique that I've learned, and that is to never finish a chapter on a particular day, but to stop before I finish the chapter. That way, the next day, I can continue on, and I don't have to stare at a blank page. So every time I just keep writing, and then I pause just before the end, and then the next day I can pick up where I left off.
Okay. According to some experts, Hemingway wrote while standing up, while Agatha Christie eats apples in the bathtub before writing. Do you have any special rituals before you sit down and write?
Well, I have a little mantra that I say every time before I begin writing, and it goes like this: clarity, concentration, perseverance, gracefully. And I think those are 4 concepts to keep in mind as a writer. So I say that every time before I begin writing, and off I go.
Okay. Let's proceed with the novel itself. First question, why is it entitled Night Falls on Damascus? Did you use any symbolism for the title or the story in general?
Well, actually, Night Falls on Damascus has quite a story behind it, a history of its own. It was originally, I wrote the book in 1999, and it was entitled The Street Called Straight. I sent it in to an agent in New York, who was my current agent, and she liked the manuscript well enough, but she said, The Street Called Straight, she said, nobody will understand that title. And so she said, find a new title. So it took me a long time. I went through literally hundreds of titles before I fixed on Night Falls on Damascus, which my agent and my editor agreed was a good one. The title is effective, I think, because it creates a sense of mystery.
When did you come up with the story?
In 1999 was the original version, but it has gone through many revisions since then, and it didn't get published until 2006. So you can see there's been a long period of development.
7 years.
7 years, and actual 3 years in solid writing.
What is the story all about?
Well, I think the best way to describe the book is the cover, inside cover, there's a little description here that I think says it best. It says, set in the exotic and turbulent world of Syria in the 1930s, Night Falls on Damascus tells the story of a French-Syrian police inspector, Nikolai Faroun, caught up in a complex murder investigation of a beautiful and controversial woman from a prominent Damascus family. So I think that says it pretty well.
Yeah. How long did it take you to complete this novel?
Well, it was, as I mentioned before, started in 1999, but it really took 3 years of solid writing through very many drafts to produce the final story.
Okay. How does it differ from your 2 previous novels, The Ghost Eater and The Mystery Box?
Night Falls on Damascus is my first full-fledged historical mystery, and it differs from the other books in that regard.
So I'll have to go on with your favorite character in this novel. Who is your favorite character?
My favorite character would have to be the hero, Nikolai Faroun. I was compelled to tell his story because, well, he's Lebanese by birth, but he is working for the French in Syria in the 1930s. Now, the French had occupied Syria. The Syrians did not like the French, and Faroun doesn't like the French even though he works for them, and the Syrians do not like Faroun because he works for the French. Yes. So he's a man in between 2 worlds, and that's what intrigued me about him.
What message do you want to convey to your readers?
Well, I think the most important thing is that